Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Oh, that's good. That's good shit. What? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. This is another episode of Coffee and Contemplation. I happen to be your host, Old Heart. That's right. Step on up. Don't be afraid. I'll only bite you once or twice, or maybe I'll just take your whole fucking face off. We're not talking about face off. Got you, though. Can we just give a quick round of applause for that movie? A classic. John Travolta, Nicolas Cage. Die Hard, high stakes, action, adventure. Anyway, no, we're not talking about that. However, we are talking about a different movie today. It's going to be called a movie. No, it's not. It's not called a movie. It's a movie. Excuse me. Jeez, I'm talking out my ass. First, I'm just going to take a sip of this iced tea a little more. Oh, thank you. That's the live studio audience. Yes, they are here too. They're always around, lurking about, and, doing their thing. So today we're talking about a 1986 movie. Yeah, I thought I was about to say 87, but it's 86. Wow, look who knows what he's talking about. 1986 movie called WITCHBOARD. That's right, you've probably not heard of it. WITCHBOARD is a pretty bad horror movie. I love 80s horror movies. 80s horror movies are so choice, like rich marinara bubbling up the crevices or whatever. I don't know, just making sayings up as I go. Making sayings up as I go. That's such a weird statement. Anyway, I'm two in my head right now. Anyway, yes, WITCHBOARD. Look it up. So WITCHBOARD is a really bad movie centering around Ouija boards, or as they refer to them in the movie, Ouija boards. So these Ouija boards are really fucking powerful in this movie. I don't know. I still have never played with a Ouija board. I don't know if they're actually called Ouija boards. I guess for the context of WITCHBOARD, this movie, we'll call them Ouijas. So I've never played with a Ouija board. I don't know if you have out there, if you're listening. But in this movie, they're really powerful. So they summon. Okay, so it's centered around. Oh my god, it's centered around a couple of goons. Let me see. What are their names again? Like Mac and Charles or some fucking shit? No, sorry. Even more generic. Jim and Brandon. So it centers around Jim, Linda, and Brandon. So Jim and Brandon are best friends, right? They're old homies that go way back, except they haven't been friends for a while because they let Linda get in the way. Not that it's Linda's fault. These two meatheads just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So I believe it is Jim who is dating Linda at the time during the course of this movie WITCHBOARD, and Jim is a fucking douchebag, like all around. Classic, like disrespectful. Tries to be a macho dude, like yeah. Oh, yuck it up, cowboys. So anyway, Jim's kind of a douche. His former best friend, Brandon, is like the heir to a fucking wine vineyard or whatever. And Linda is just the poor fucking sucker in between. Is that true? Linda was played by Tanya Kitane? No way. The only reason I know Tanya Kitane is because of The Surreal Life, which was a VH1 reality show. Oh my god. Do you guys remember those Surreal Life shows? Vanilla Ice was on one. Fucking Ron Jeremy was on one. Vern Troyer, rest in peace, was on one, man. Vern Troyer is so drunk in an episode of The Surreal Life that he pissed in a fucking plant. It was hilarious, and also just what a waste of my time. Anyway, I did not realize that was Tanya Catane, but it is. She plays Linda, and Linda is oh so curious about Ouija boards. So, let me paint this scene. They're at this party, you know, classic 80s party. Everybody's getting a little loose and doing their thing, and, you know, here's Brandon cozying up to Linda, and Jim's over here like... And they just throw you right into this in the movie. Like, you don't have any context for this. At first, you think Brandon and Linda are together and they're fucking with Jim. Or at least maybe I did. But anyway, so Brandon and Linda are sitting over here talking about spirits and Ouijas and stuff like that. And Jim's over there, like, in a different chair, like, pounding drinks and being like, I don't care, I don't believe in spirits. And, you know, whatever. That's alright if you don't want to believe in spirits. I've personally never had spiritual encounters that I recollect. That's the thing I have to say more and more these days. It's just if I recollect. I wonder what memories have been squeezed out for other things. We're not talking about my mind anymore. We're talking about WITCHBOARD. That's right. Oh shit! Shoutouts to Evil L Forever. Shoutouts to Yellow Teeth. Shoutouts to Mooner Six. Shoutouts to Lucas, my co-host. He's at Castle Roll. Check him out. Shoutouts to Harrison Hannon. Shoutouts to anybody listening. Shoutouts to Monkflower Band. Shoutouts to Uncaged. You know. Shoutouts to all my homies. Shoutouts to my younger brother for this. I made some iced tea for the show. It's a chai mate. It's very delicious. He works at this cool tea and spice shop in Leavenworth, and like whenever he comes over, he always brings me like a handful of like kind of like 1 ounce sampler bags of tea to check out, and they're all fucking delicious, man. Like he ups my tea game. I don't up my own tea game. My tea game is elevated simply because of my little brother, and I'm finally catching on. Also, shoutouts to him though. So shoutouts to Bugatron. He's getting me juiced on this fucking chai mate, man. Whew. I've had no caffeine all day. I worked as a barista earlier today, and I just like no caffeine, nothing. All of a sudden, I'm feeling juicy, man. I'm feeling alive. Anyway, okay, so WITCHBOARD. I gotta finish talking about WITCHBOARD. This is the problem here. Okay, so WITCHBOARD is, so Brandon and Jim and Linda are all sitting at this party. Jim's getting drunk, being an asshole. Brandon and Linda are like, oh, you ever experience Ouija boards? She's like, Ouija boards? I've never used Ouija boards. And he's like, they're Ouija. I've actually studied this because my family owns a vineyard and I have inherited a lot of wealth and I have nothing but time and money, so I get everything I need. Anyway, so needless to say, Brandon's kind of a douche. So the movie kind of moves forward. They use the Ouija board. They summon a little spirit that apparently Brandon has been like homies with, like the spirit of like a dead 10-year-old boy named David, I think. And he's trying to summon him, and then it goes wrong, and there's like the Ouija board like flips, and then like all of a sudden like a tire outside pops, and like it's Brandon's tire, it's slashed, and they think they've unleashed an evil fucking spirit, right? Well, at least Brandon does. The other two don't think anything of it. They leave the party. Jim's a fucking Jim's a dick like the entire movie. He's like the entire time shit's going on, he's just like, what's happening? He just says he's a very yelly kind of character, you know. I don't really like his character. He's so fucking bland, but it's like a classic 80s character, like 80s male, white male character. Anyway, so Linda continues to like fuck around with the Ouija board. Yeah, big bad time. And slowly thinks that like she is hanging out with David. This little 10-year-old boy, for some reason they all want to hang out with. And yeah, it's really bad. So eventually, they really drop this term progressive entrapment, which according to the Wikipedia page, the director or the writer, who the fuck, what the fuck is his name? The writer it was Kevin Tenney. Okay, so Kevin Tenney was writing the script while a student at the University of Southern California, according to this on the Wikipedia. He was inspired to write a horror film based on a Ouija board. He began to research the concept of progressive entrapment, which was briefly mentioned in The Exorcist. It's where an individual becomes progressively entrapped, quote unquote, by a spirit. Some elements were based on incidents he had heard while researching the experiences and of close friends and others with Ouijas, and he believed the viewer would resonate with some of it being based on fact. So they dropped the term progressive entrapment multiple times, which is just fucking ridiculous. Anyway, they continues to say one of the central themes of the film, which is very true in the movie, fucking ridiculous, is the bromance of Jim and Brandon, who's like I said, their friendship was compromised when Jim started dating Linda, because apparently Brandon had a crush on Linda, unbeknownst to anybody. So really, it's just his own fucking fault for not trying to go after her, and also just kind of like being creepy in the corner, like, hey, I was in love with her, like. Alright, Golem, get the fuck out of here. So they don't really get along much, but for some reason Brandon and Linda continue to get along, and they're homies. And so Brandon begins to suspect that David is not David, and he's trying to investigate this whole Ouija board and what the fuck is Linda doing, right? And so, he gets heavily back in there. But anyway, so the writer, when he was writing it, the Wikipedia says he viewed the film about the board, who he sees as a character, forcing Jim to reflect on his relationships with Linda and Brandon, the latter whom he had a falling out with. Once he knew this was the story, it was easy for him to work around with the stories he had researched about and kind of heard in researching the Ouijas. So anyway, okay, so the movie very heavily is centered on the bromance, and it's very heavily centered on these two men finding peace with each other. And so anyway, what else? God damn, this episode went quick. So the Ouija board. Okay, so they discovered it wasn't David, it was an axe murderer. The axe murderer tried to kill everybody. They destroyed the Ouija board. There's a couple of sequels. You really don't need to see them. I give this bullshit. Either way, this has been another episode of Coffee and Contemplation. That's right. Shout outs to all the listeners out there. Old Heart Radio is absolutely nothing without anybody listening. I have no idea who's actually listening, but kudos to you. You're a good crew. Either way, go out there, use your brain for good. If you, think about it, ripen up your coconut as best you can, like we just did here. And, keep your stick on the ice.